The first scream didn't come from the ocean or the rides or the crowds laughing under the California sun at Santa Monica Pier. It came from a girl in a wheelchair, a sharp, broken cry swallowed by the wind as wooden planks trembled beneath rushing footsteps and the smell of salt mixed with cruelty, and she had come there believing the pier was a place of joy, believing the stories that said happiness didn't discriminate, believing that if she pushed herself hard enough, smiled wide enough, ignored the ache in her legs long enough, the world might forget to remind her what she could not do, but the world never forgets. And when the bullies saw her, they didn't see a girl named Lily who loved the ocean because it made her feel infinite. They didn't see the nights she spent teaching herself to dance with her hands because her legs wouldn't listen. They didn't see the scars left by surgeries or the courage stitched into every breath. They only saw weakness, and weakness, to cruel men, is an invitation. So they laughed, loud and careless, blocking her path as the Ferris wheel spun behind them like a mocking halo. One of them stepping forward, tattoos crawling up his arms, eyes empty, voice sharp as broken glass when he sneered, "Move, cripple," and the word hit harder than any kick, harder than the shove that followed, because words can bruise places fists never reach, and Lily tried to back away, hand shaking on the wheels, heart pounding so loud she thought the pier itself might hear it, but the men closed in, fueled by the sick thrill of power, one foot slamming into her chair, another striking her leg, not enough to break bone but enough to break dignity, enough to make the crowd hesitate, enough for some to turn away and pretend they didn't see, because silence is easier than courage, and Lily fell back, catching herself just in time, breath stolen, eyes burning, the taste of salt and fear filling her mouth as laughter erupted around her. And that was when the sound changed, when something heavier than laughter rolled across the pier, a low thunder that didn't belong to the ocean, engines, dozens of them, then hundreds, a deep, united growl that made heads turn and smiles fade, and one by one, like a tide answering the moon, bikers began to appear from every direction, leather vests marked with patches earned through loyalty and blood, boots striking wood in steady rhythm, faces hard but eyes focused, because they had seen it. All of it, the kick, the shove, the word, and something ancient and unbreakable stirred among them, a code older than the pier itself, a rule written not on paper but in scars. You do not hurt the helpless, you do not prey on the broken, and you do not walk away when evil shows its face. So they surrounded the bullies slowly, deliberately, a sea of black leather and steel forming a wall between Lily and the men who had laughed seconds earlier, and suddenly the bullies weren't laughing anymore, suddenly their voices faltered, bravado shrinking under the weight of accountability, because courage born from cruelty cannot survive when faced with real strength, and the leader of the bikers stepped forward, tall, broad, eyes calm in a way that scared men more than shouting ever could, his voice low, steady, carrying across the pier as he said, "You think strength is kicking someone who can't run. You think power is using numbers against one girl." And no one answered, because there was nothing to say, because excuses die when truth stands this close, and behind him, another biker knelt beside Lily, lowering himself to her level, asking softly if she was hurt, if she could breathe, if she was okay, and for the first time since the word had been thrown at her like a weapon, Lily felt seen, not as a symbol, not as a burden, but as a human being whose pain mattered, whose tears meant something, and she nodded, swallowing the sob she had been holding back, because strength doesn't always look like standing tall, sometimes it looks like surviving long enough for help to arrive, and the crowd that had turned away earlier now watched in silence as the bikers closed ranks, phones lowered, eyes opened, shame creeping in where indifference had lived, and the leader turned back to the bullies, telling them calmly to leave, not shouting, not threatening, just stating a fact the way gravity states itself, and they did, backs hunched, footsteps quick, disappearing into the noise they had once enjoyed, and when they were gone, the pier seemed to breathe again, the Ferris wheel still turning, the ocean still crashing, but something had shifted, something important, because people had witnessed what happens when cruelty meets unity, and the bikers didn't celebrate, didn't pose, didn't look for applause, they simply stayed until Lily was steady, until she laughed softly through tears, until she realized that while the world could be cruel, it could also be fiercely protective, and as they escorted her safely through the crowd, engines silent out of respect, a lesson echoed louder than any roar. Real strength defends, real courage stands up, and real humanity refuses to look away, and this is why stories like Lily's must be told, why moments like these matter, because somewhere right now someone feels small, someone feels targeted, someone believes they are alone, and they need to know that kindness still rides in packs, that justice still has witnesses, and that hope can show up when you least expect it. So if this story moved you, if it reminded you that standing up matters, then don't let it end here. Subscribe to the channel, stay with us, and help share stories that give courage to the quiet, strength to the wounded, and a voice to those who need it most.